Skaggs, and you're on BackstageAxxess.com, where the real show begins. So let's begin.
I'm Dee Haley with BackstageAxxess.com, and I'm talking with the legendary Ricky Skaggs. Ricky, you've crossed several musical genres. You've won numerous awards, including more than a dozen Grammys, CMAs, IBMAs, and you're currently on a treasure chest tour with Kentucky Thunder Band. Now, could you tell us a little bit about the tour?
Well, yeah, it's the best. It's kind of, for lack of a better, word, it's really the best of Ricky Skaggs. It's the best of all the stuff that I've done since the early '80s. I came to Nashville in 1981 and got a record deal with CBS, with Columbia, with Epic on the Epic label here, and started having hit records and hit albums and #1 country hits, and started winning a lot of awards. And so I really had a very strong country music career after all of the years of being a bluegrass artist. I started playing with Ralph Stanley when I was 15. Of course, my dad bought me a mandolin 10 years before that, when I was 5 years old. But I started playing with Ralph Stanley and worked with him for a few years, and then went on to other bluegrass groups. And then I joined Emmylou Harris's band in 1978. And worked with her for a couple of years, and then August of 1980, I left her band and came to Nashville, and got a record deal with, like I said, with CBS, and of course Sony Music bought them out right after that. But I started having a lot of success, and so really, I guess it was up till 1996. After all the success that I'd had in country, I really had a desire to go back to bluegrass and go back to my roots and kind of simplify my life a little bit. And that's almost a joke, but I was trying to go back to a simpler way of traveling on the road. Instead of 2 buses and a tractor trailer and about 20 people on the road, I tried to streamline myself and really just make my music a whole lot more simple. And that was really the reason for coming back into bluegrass music. And plus, Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass music, passed away that year, and we were very close, and my dad also passed away the same year. So it was a tough time, but I felt like I was supposed to come back and kind of take my place in bluegrass and try to help other artists, and started a record label, Skaggs Family, and so it was a really good thing. And so this tour that we're on really encompasses all of my country music. Well, I say all of it, but I mean, kind of the high points of my country music career in the 80s, and then the bluegrass stuff that we've done since 1997.
Now, your latest release, Mosaic, are you adding tracks from that latest release along with your bluegrass and country music?
We'll be doing things from Mosaic as well. We'll be doing things from the new record, and it really works well with the acoustic instruments as well as some of the country music sounds that we'll be doing with the drums and piano and steel guitar. So it'll be the country, the bluegrass, and things from Mosaic.
Now, besides being on tour, you're also going to be appearing on an upcoming PBS series, Bluegrass Underground, and I read that show is going to premiere in the fall. Can you give us an inside scoop on this new adventure for you?
Well, we did part of the pilot show for them for PBS here in Nashville, and I think the national PBS show has taken it now. So it's a really great show. It's down, 300 feet, I think, down in this cave called Cumberland Caverns here in the Nashville area. It's a little south of Nashville, but it's a pretty cool venue. I mean, they've set up a stage right in this big room of a cave, and they have people, sitting on rocks and sitting all around this huge room that's down in this cave. They have it all lit up, and of course the filming is just brilliant. It's shot high def, and it sounds great as well. So it's a pretty interesting venue.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Now, along with all your you had mentioned a mandolin since you were 5 years old, and you also play guitar, you play fiddle, you sing, you songwrite. Do you have a favorite, say, instrument or performance tool, so to speak?
Well, if I'm playing just bluegrass, I really, I love playing the mandolin. That was my first instrument, and I really enjoyed playing it. But I guess if I was just going to be, playing country music all the time, probably the guitar, the acoustic guitar, and electric guitar. I've been playing quite a bit of electric now since I've started, doing this tour again. I teased people, and I said, well, I couldn't remember which bed I slid that electric guitar under when I started playing bluegrass, but I am playing it again, and it's been fun to get back on an instrument that I haven't played very much in 15 years. So it's been a little bit of a challenge, but I'm enjoying it again.
That's great. It makes it feel new again, huh?
Yep, it sure does.
Now, you're a touring musician, but you're also a session musician. Do you use the same type of gear on the road as you do when you're in the studio?
No, we use different equipment. We have a wonderful company, Neumann Sennheiser. They supply me with great microphones for the road, but they also, Neumann is one of the oldest microphone makers in the world. They started out in Germany back in the 30s, and so we're good. Have a great relationship with them. One of their offices is in New York, or actually up in Connecticut, and so they supply us with some really great mics and in-ear monitors and everything for the road. But their studio mics are most sought-after mics there is, especially the older ones. And I've got quite a few of those that I use in the studio when I'm making records in the studio.
Now, the music industry and the recording industry in particular in the studio has changed an awful lot over your career. I'm wondering how the digital recording age has affected your career as a session musician.
Well, I think you got a lot more tracks to work with now. I mean, mostly when we were working with analog tape, you had at the max you had 24 channels that you could work with. You could fill that up pretty quick with drums and piano and electric guitars, steel guitars if you want to stereo mic things. So you could fill that up pretty quick. But with digital recording, you're pretty much unlimited on tracks. I mean, if you've got a console that can handle 60 tracks or 80 tracks or something like that, you can record that many. So I'm not sure that's always good to put more, because I think sometimes less is more, and of course with this age of, like I said, having pretty much endless recording tracks that you can, just keep double tracking stuff, multi-tracking stuff, sometimes I think you can cloud up and you can forget what you're really doing, and that's trying to convey a message through a song, and so I really try to stay focused on the vocals. Like my new record, Mosaic, I think is one of the great examples of really staying focused on the vocals, but allowing the music to really be a bed for the music, or for the vocal to just lay there, in such a wonderful place. It's one of the best records, if not the best sounding records, and I think it's probably the most important record I've ever done, just because of the lyrical content of the record. It's just wonderful. Mosaic is the title, and it's I've never done a record where I've had people call the record label and order 100 copies at a time, to give away to their friends or loved ones. It's pretty amazing thing to see that, that it's affected people like that.
Well, it is inspirational.
Well, thank you. It is. It's for lack of a better word, it's a gospel CD, but I've never heard a gospel record quite like it, because the music is so different than what you think about when you hear gospel music. But it's the lyrics are so strong and so powerful. Gordon Kennedy, great songwriter here in Nashville, co-produced the record with me, and he wrote or co-wrote all the songs, all the 14 songs that's on it.
Wow. Well, I know that you're short on time, but I'm going to ask you if there's anything that you would like to add.
I appreciate being on your webcast today. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I'm Dee Haley. It's been a pleasure hearing from the legendary Ricky Skaggs on BackstageAxxess.com.
I'm going back to old Kentucky, and there to see